Well, here we are. This is the Lynnie Godfrey Straight No Chaser after show afterthoughts, and everybody is here. This is who you saw or who you heard this evening for 1 hour. Look at my panel. Aren't they some pretty people? Say hello, everybody.
Hey.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes,
Good evening.
we really enjoyed having this evening. Now, one of our panelists, Daryle Young, who was the principal who told that lovely story, is having a little difficulty. So you'll see her head is down a little bit, trying to get so that she can do the vocal part of it, the audio part of the show. But and while she's going through that, I just want to go around robin and just let you see who is who. As far as everybody's concerned. We know we have one man, and that's Franz. So Franz, why don't you start off? Okay.
Hello, I'm Franz Jones. One of my jobs is I am Associate Director of Essence of Acting, a company that was started by none other than our fearless leader, Ms. Lynnie Godfrey.
Yeah. Hey. And Valeska, why don't you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Valeska Cambron. I currently am on faculty at Long Island University on their post campus. I teach at 3rd Street Music School, Settlement, also on their voice faculty. And I'm also a music coach for my college audition.
Mm-hmm. Michele?
Hi, I'm Michele Harrell. I'm a performer. I've been doing a lot of virtual theater on Zoom. But to take a little break, I went to Sedona, went hiking, and had a great time.
Oh,
Wonderful.
we all need breaks.
Right.
Deborah Fudge Rhem.
Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm a retired New York City school teacher. I've been an educator for 40 years, starting in daycare, but I was 31 years for the Board of Ed, and I also did some adjunct teaching education courses at the College of New Rochelle.
And Diane Wilson.
Hi, my name is Diane Wilson, and I am a DOE, Department of Ed teacher for 30 years. Teaching, I've taught it all, K through 12, pretty much. Vocal music, violin, and piano.
Kim Wafer.
Hey, I am Kim Wafer. I am formerly the Assistant Director of the Higher Education Opportunity Program at Russell Sage College. I now work at SUNY in the Registrar's Office, but I am also a member of the prestigious EOA Essence of Acting group with Franz and Valeska and our fearless leader, Ms. Lynnie Godfrey. And I am also an actress, so I'm just glad to be here today.
And I'm going to talk about Daryle Young. Daryle Young and I and Deborah Fudge all went to high school together. Now, that's the first thing everybody should know. And I've been knowing them since I was in 9th or 10th grade. Daryle and I were in Leaders together, weren't we, Daryle? Yes. Yes. Fudge was a dancer. Then Daryle went over and started dancing too. I was the only one in Leaders by myself. And then got into politics. But we all were going to be teachers. Well, you know what happened to me, I didn't quite make that grade. I did kind of something else. But I have been so proud of all of my friends who got their education degrees and went on to be principals and leaders in the education field. And I could not wait to bring them on so you could see how the arts have all the way through our lives. It really has influenced us, and we've utilized it in our prospective jobs. I'm not only a performer, but I'm a director, and I use the education that I learned in school, the academics, in my directing. So it goes back and forth. The arts goes into the education goes into the arts. And today, just a little bit before they go, because I've worn them out totally with this whole hour, I just want them to give you their feeling about, and I'll start round robin. I'm gonna start with Michele, about how they feel about how the arts has really influenced their lives. So go, and hopefully by that time, our Daryle will have gotten so, because she is also I have never met her sister, but her sister is a wonderful performer also in show business. And that is in her family also. All right. So Michele, go.
You know, just from the very beginning, from doing those little speeches that you do at church for Christmas and Easter. And I was a very shy child. And my mother, as I stated before, my parents, exposed me to a lot of different things in the arts. And what took for me was the acting. There's a regional theater here. It wasn't a huge theater back then. Now they're, a Lord regional theater. But I got my start there because they started a children's theater. And so I started there, and it gave me so much confidence. I think I'm still kind of a shy person, but it's just like that ambivert, leaning more towards introvert. But it allowed, the stage allowed me to get on there and be somebody else and to have fun. So it's really been my life and has helped me so much. And I'm just so happy that my parents were aware enough to expose me to all the different arts. And then I grew up appreciating the arts, whether it be music or dance, or we knew opera singers, whether it was opera. So I love it. And I don't think my life would be the same without it, had I not been exposed.
Well, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that how I met Michele is that when one of my first productions that I directed in New York City was To Be Young, Gifted, and Black. And Michele was my Lorraine Hansberry in that production. And she was absolutely fabulous and is a wonderful actress, as is Miss Diane Wilson, who is a fabulous musicologist, I call her, because she is not only a vocalist, but a composer. She does piano, she does violin, she makes me sick, is what she does. So tell me, Diane Wilson, how do the arts fit into your life? How has it influenced you outside of the job description? Yeah.
I was also extremely shy. I just could not open my mouth and say my name in front of people. And even though I'm basically a vocal instrumental, I started out on violin. And I played, my parents, thank God for them as well, because they opened doors for me. And, but it was really my experiences in theater that really opened me up. And I recommend that for my kids all the time. And I use those techniques, even in my teaching of violin and everything else that I do. I would not have gotten my own voice together had it not been for the arts and my piano lessons, my violin lessons, all of that stuff. But I really, I thank my parents because they were the start in getting me to come out of my shell, as they used to say.
Shell, when you look at about half of the albums and CDs that you have at home, you will see Diane Wilson's name in it. She's played on everybody's album, please believe me. But my experience with her is, we did Ain't Misbehaving together. What a challenge. 5-part harmony all the way through. It was an experience and a wonderful experience that I
No understudies, remember?
No understudies. So we could not be ill. Thank you. None. And there was no vocal. There was no vocal issues. You just went on vocal rest after the show. You just stopped talking. You sang for 2 hours and then no talking until you sang again for 2 hours. Exactly. So how wonderful is that? Then there is Fudgy.
Hi, I'm Deborah Fudge Rhem, and I have to say that my experience in the visual arts and in education began with my parents. They were just wonderful storytellers about their lives as children, and that just transferred over to music, always being in the household, from classical to gospel to everything, and just having that exposure, and also growing up in a neighborhood with very charismatic people who I would meet, and then I would try to imitate them. So all of that had a lot to do with why I love the arts so much. And I would just say that one of the reasons why becoming a teacher was important is because I can't think of a better gift than motivating a young person, seeing that wonder in their eyes when they're excited about something, whether it's music, a piece of art, or something that you might be cooking or talking about or walking around your neighborhood. So I really, really enjoyed my 40 years as a teacher, and I still continue to help teachers whenever I meet any new teachers coming. I'm always the one saying, come over, look at my material. So I know that it's very much a part of who I am. And, you know, they are our future generation and we can't give up on them. So wherever we can, work with children, put the arts back into the educational program, I'm all for that.
My relationship with Deborah Fudge Rhem started in the 10th grade in English class. And I turned around and smiled and she smiled back. And we've been smiling ever since.
That's right.
Yes, to the point where she was in my wedding. She's been everywhere. We both shared the experience of having one of our theater teachers take us to see James Earl Jones in The Great White Hope. And that's what started it all for me. So how blessed was I to be in a classroom where I was gifted with a teacher who appreciated that I needed to go see that. And then Mr. James came out and talked to us. Remember Fudge? Yeah.
Sat right on the edge of the stage and spoke to us, sweating from that last performance with a robe on and a towel around.
That's it. And he was beautiful. I'm just going to tell you, he was beautiful. That's how long ago that was.
Gosh, it really was a while ago.
But he was absolutely, he was a piece of artwork. Every muscle was toned when he was playing Jack Johnson. So it was wonderful to sit there and see that and know, well, maybe this is something that I can do because I saw me up there. All those wonderful actors. I saw me.
Yes.
Now, Valeska.
Yes. I would say, you know, I think the arts have been my greatest love. It's something that my dad used to sing to me when I was little. There wasn't a ton of arts where I grew up, but my parents were always supportive and allowed me to any interest that I had. They would just say yes, even to pursuing this as a career. They were like, yes, go do it. So I would say that my parents' influence and their support has been what has been really driven me to stay in the arts, as well as the community that the arts has built for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my relationship with Valeska has always been one where, as I said to her today, I never worry about her. I give her something to do and she just, okay, sure. All right, fine. Okay, I got it. You know, and she was brought to me by Franz. Yeah, Franz's relationship and brought into the group. So the arts has bonded all of us together, you know, and I think that's a blessing in itself. And then, of course, there's Mr. Jones that I've known since I first started in show business. So he's the second oldest friend. Fudge is the oldest. Then, well, she and Daryle, right, both. Right. Okay, same time. Then comes Franz Jones, and he'll tell you that story.
Well, I met Lynnie Godfrey. I had been on the road with the musical Pearlie. And some of the people that were in that production, were in that production with me, went off afterwards to do a show called Ragtime Blues, which was about the life of Scott Joplin. And so I came to see it. And there was a lovely young lady. I remember her coming on stage in a maid's uniform, and her name was Belle. And she sang a lovely duet with Scott Joplin. She eventually married him and was just this beautiful, lovely, sweet girl. And I said, well, what a lovely young actress. Well, later on in the play, Scott Joplin's music starts to take over and bills need to be paid, groceries need to be bought. And Belle has a moment where she comes on stage and Scott Joplin says, well, Belle, where's my music? And she looks at him sternly and says, music? there ain't no music. I done sent that music up the chimney to Jesus.
The Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. My mouth dropped. I looked at my roommate. We looked at her. She's no musical comedy girl. That's an actress. After the show, I went backstage to visit my friends and I saw her and I said, I ran over to her and I said, "You're an actress. You're an actress. You're not a musical comedy star. What are you doing in the show? You are an actress." And we've been friends ever since. I was at her wedding. I mean, we weren't always in touch, but the times in my life, it seems like she would appear right at the right moments. I had a health issue a few years ago, and a mutual friend said, "Well, Franz is in the hospital, call her." So she called me out of the blue. I hadn't spoken to her in ages, and it was like we just picked up from where we left off. I was doing a show with another friend who said, "Well, Lynnie's going to be performing in Pennsylvania. Would you like to come down and see it?" And I said, "Yes." So I drove down to Pennsylvania, saw her do her act. She was magnificent, as always. She backstage says, "Well, you know, I'd like to create a theater company and do some work on my own." And so me being me said, "Well, you know, Lynnie, whatever you want to do it, just let me know and I'll come." Later on, there was an audition. I saw it in backstage and in the Equity website. And so I said, "Well, is there a part here for me?" She thought, "No, just come on." So I came over and sat in on the audition, watched the people audition. Then she invited me to come to the first rehearsal. And from that moment on, we've been working together. And it's been great fun. We've had our ups, we've had our downs, we've gone through actors, we've gone through technicians, we've gone through spaces, but we've managed to keep this going, which means it's supposed to happen. That's how I became as close as I am with Lynnie. In terms of the arts in me, and I'm going to try to make it short because I don't want to take everybody's time. I come from one side of my family is so musical, it's ridiculous. My grandfather played the piano, studied in Boston, and was minister of music at his church for over 50 years. Had an orchestra in Washington, D.C. when a lot of Black people didn't have orchestras of their own. He taught piano, he taught voice. My Aunt Sylvia, who's in the next room, has a lovely, lilting, beautiful soprano voice. My Aunt Florence plays the piccolo and the flute. My father played every woodwind instrument in the world and had perfect pitch. My uncle played the piano. So I was surrounded by music from the earliest days when we would all be together for Thanksgiving or something. My grandfather would play and everybody would sing or play or do something. I didn't think I could sing for a long time. I had no voice. But in high school, I had a beautiful tenor that changed to a bass after a concert, and I kept my mouth shut until college. After college, I started to sing. I took voice lessons. Needless to say, from there, I really wanted to act. So I always went more towards being a dramatic actor. But musically, I have this voice as well. But arts were always a huge part of my life. I can't think of a time when it wasn't involved. My younger brother is a visual artist. He was involved with models. He hired them for a long time, but he paints anything visually. He actually did the poster for Unentitled that we did. So I just, arts are all through my life.
Thank you. Kim?
Well, I will tell you, I will say, you know, I think the love of the arts, I mean, I was very, very young, but I do remember when I knew, I thought I needed to be on stage was when my mother took me to see Annie. I was young, I was like maybe 6, 7, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to do that. And my mother was, you know, she would always, you know, usher or do something so that we could get, you know, get to the show. And so I went to see Annie, and then all of a sudden, like 3-4 years later, they had auditions for Annie. And I went to a school that was predominantly white. So I said, I don't care, I'm going to try out for this Annie. And I just knew I was going to be Annie. You know, I had practiced, I knew I was going to be Annie. And they passed over me at that time because I didn't look like Annie.
Mhm.
And for a long time, I thought my dream, and I was really crushed by that. I was never going to audition or do anything again because I just knew I was going, I didn't see color, but of course they did. So at that time. And so, my mother was always like, you're a performer. I would perform, for her, do commercials. I would do all these different things in the living room. And my mother would say, I gotta get this girl on stage somewhere, somehow. And my cousins are actresses and things of that nature. And it didn't dawn on me until maybe high school. I was in a play and I was like, wow, this is coming naturally to me. And I really, really decided, okay, I will try to pursue this again. And so I met up with a young man here who is the president of the Black Theater Troupe. He said that at that time it was just Lynnie. Was it as Essence of Acting at that time when you guys were coming up for Russell Sage?
Yeah.
It was still called Essence of Acting. He
Yeah.
said they were looking for some for an actress for a role that one of their actresses couldn't come up, and would I be interested? And so I said, of course. And so I got to meet Franz and Lynnie, and I played Della in Celeste Bedford Walker's her Greenwood. And that I just loved. I was just like, okay, this is me. This is me. I feel this. And then they said, if when you wake up in the morning and if you feel like this is what you're supposed to do, that's for you. And so, but I had a job, and I was like, how do you do this? And I have a career, I have a job. And I said, well, as soon as my children are all finished with school, I said, I'm going to dedicate myself to this craft because I've always studied, I've always watched, I've always tried to watch the greats, and I've always been a eccentric and, animated type person. And so I really feel comfortable when I'm on stage, and I love the arts. I see what it does for children. I see what it does for people as individuals. And it's really a blessing. And we've lost a lot of great people. And I feel like we have to carry it on. We have to give back. And I love the opportunity to encourage, to make somebody laugh, to make somebody cry, to make somebody think. And if you can do that through the arts, I love it. And so that's where I fit in to the picture.
Well, yep. You're comfortable with all the crazies. That's who we are.
That's true too. I
Now, Daryle.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
You know what happened?
There you are. I knew if I waited long enough, God would come through.
Lord have mercy. What I was doing wrong was I wasn't dialing the 1 before the 929.
And didn't I give you the one?
You did. It's
I'm not
age.
gonna talk. I'm not-
It's age.
Okay. Well,
I
you
forgot.
can't say that. Now, I've told everybody that we went to school together, so I don't know what class you were in. You were in my class. We're talking about age. I don't know. We're talking about no age in here.
Okay, take that back. Well, you got to refresh me. We're talking about how we got into it,
Yes,
right?
and what it means to you, what it means to you in your life. What it means to you in your life.
The arts to me means life, because it's so ironic how things work out. When I was in elementary school, I was very sickly. I had asthma. I'm allergic to everything. I'm allergic to aspirin. I'm allergic to penicillin. I'm allergic to all these things. And I used to be very sick. And my mother's remedy from the old South was to give me toast and tea. I had difficulty breathing, and I couldn't run around like my sisters, and so I became a little bit inhibited. A friend of my mother's told her, why don't you take her to a dance class? Maybe dance will help her learn how to breathe. And so that was at the inception of Harlem School of the Arts. I went to Harlem School of the Arts and I learned how to breathe. And in learning those exercises and learning how to dance, it became sort of like a metaphor for my life, in that whenever there's a stress for me, I dance. Debbie can tell you, I'm to this day still dancing. Mm-hmm. And in addition, my sister that you mentioned,
who I've never met, and it's a small
You have
world.
never met Allison? Oh my goodness, we got to make that happen. At age 2, she had spinal meningitis. She could not walk and she couldn't speak. So by the time she had therapy, she went to all of these different doctors. And by the time I was going to Harlem School of the Arts, and she was old enough, around the age of 4 or 5, my mother sent her to Harlem School of the Arts. And it gave life to both of us in a place where you never thought it would. And now you see Allison's been in Dreamgirls, in Jelly's Last Jam, in so many shows. So
Allison,
and
tell them her full name so that everyone knows.
Allison Williams Foster. If you look
know
her
your
up.
sister.
Yes, that's my baby sister.
Wow,
Oh my God. Yes, I
That's
know
my
Allison.
baby sister.
Wow.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yes.
I've known Allison for years.
So, and doesn't she have a kick? I mean,
She's
so
got
a kick too.
You know, I mean, you know, and I forgot to say that, you know, Fudge went to music and arts first before I met her in 10th grade. So these are all people who had really these backgrounds, you know, in it.
Yeah. So it came out of a will, out of a need to live, out of a need to breathe, and it became it's concurrent. My grandchildren, I have 14 grandchildren. They always want me to perform. Because it's something that gives me so much joy. And we won't talk about age, but
no, we won't.
Once I fulfilled my job in education and I retired and I did the professor thing, I went back to dancing and I danced in Ailey showcases 5 years in a row.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'm just so happy and overjoyed and so blessed that I was able to have that to give me life. If I go too long without dancing, I'm miserable, you know, and the same with Allison. So the arts took us in a place that we never thought we would go. And I thank God for it because it has changed my life. Forget the academics and all of that. It has changed my life tremendously. And I also just want to say, and I did dance with Pepsi Bethel for many years.
Pepsi, yes.
Yeah, I danced with Pepsi Bethel for many years before I got married.
Pepsi taught me How You Babe in Haven that I did with Diane. They throwing me up in the air like somebody.
Yes, that was his thing.
Yes. So, well, look, you all, this has been absolutely fabulous. Really, it is. I'm getting messages from people. Have you finished the video yet? So we're going to finish the video, everyone.
Okay.
So that you all can see, and you can see the people that you've been hearing about and see how the arts have really affected all of us in our careers and our lives in society. And that we're not going to stop until we have it at the top of the list that everybody keeps in their curriculum. So our children can have this because it means everything to us. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for your after show, afterthoughts. You all have been absolutely fabulous. Thank you again. Thank you for your time. It's past 8:45, so I want you to go and have a cup of coffee or drink or whatever you want to do after dealing with me now for these almost 2 hours. Thank you. I love you all, and I love you too, audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynnie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.